Jen here with layout number 2 for Build a Page this week. I'm also doing off the board today. It's always the last Wednesday of the month, and I absolutely adore this series. I haven't been participating in it, and every month I always say that this is the one that I really want to get done, and then life happens and I haven't been getting it done, but I love Crystal's idea. Crystal from Pineapple Papers came up with this idea to essentially just dive into your Pinterest boards, where I know you guys are like me, you hoard ideas and beautiful pictures and aspirations and just all the stuff that you hope that you one day will be able to do, and then they just sit on your Pinterest board, sit on the World Wide Web, hanging out, being collected. And yeah, I don't often do a lot of the ones that I pin. So this is a great opportunity to create something from all of those brilliant ideas that you're seeing. So you don't have to use like layouts or anything really to do with scrapbooking. Anything that you see that's inspirational, maybe a quote, maybe it's a mood board or some home decor, literally anything, to be honest. An outfit, maybe a really cool outfit that kind of inspires a feeling that could translate into a layout, whatever it might be. You can go through your boards, pick some inspiration, and see where it takes you. So it's a great idea. Everybody picks something different every time. So it's really fun to hop along with, because it's just a ton of different ideas and different inspiration pieces. And yeah, all the links are down below, so you should definitely go and check that out. And I showed you my inspiration, that gorgeous Stephanie Reid layout. I absolutely adore her. I have scraplifted her before and found inspiration in her layouts before. I don't know how else to describe what she does other than clean, and I just find it so peaceful. Does that make sense? All of her layouts are just really clean and creative, and there's just something very peaceful about them. She always has beautiful pictures and lots of white space, and yeah, I just really loved this one. And it reminded me of this kit that I put together with these colors, sort of similar colors. I think mine are a little bit kind of more concentrated and dark, and hers are a little bit maybe more pastel, but they're the same colors, the pinks and the yellows and the blue. And so I pulled out this kit to kind of go along and see what I could come up with. And so in the kit, I have the background paper. That was already created. I did that for a Craft IQ challenge that I never finished. So it's a stencil with yellow, blue, and some pinky red mist that I just sprayed over top of it. And that was basically as far as I got. I did have the picture pulled already. I think that might have been one of the layers to pick a large photo, possibly. And so that was the two elements that I had kind of kept together and then never finished the layout. So I decided to go ahead and create a page kit from those two things as my base. So what I added into there is some 6x6 pieces of paper, 2 from my stash and 2 are from my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit for February. And then from my stash, I also pulled out some stickers from Close to My Heart and some stickers from Maggie Holmes. Both of those had some blues and pinks and yellows, so I thought those would work really well. There's even a little touch of green where the yellow and blue mists kind of combined a little bit. So I did pull out some greens that I thought might match that color, but I don't end up kind of going with any of the green. I wasn't sure, obviously, what I was going to create, what kind of layout I was going to create when I put the kit together. So it was just sort of an extra color that I thought I might be able to work with. So I've got some greens in the stickers, and then also I pulled out a bunch of enamel dots, and there's reds and blues and pinks and yellows, and then some greens with those. Is that it? I think that's it. Oh, and some Tim Holtz phrases from one of my Tim Holtz sticker books. Like the little word small talk, is that what it's called? Sticker books. So, those are what I have in my kit. And then based off of Stephanie's layout, I did also grab some embroidery floss because I really like the idea of wrapping that around my paper shapes. Is that what we're going to call them? Yeah, let's go with that. Wrapping the embroidery floss around my paper shapes. And so I pulled those out in the yellow, the pink, and the blue. And I, of course, will add some sequins in there at the end as well. So I basically just started by taking those 6x6 papers and cutting some pretty random shapes. Stephanie used a larger piece of paper and created 4 larger kind of square circles. But I was using 6x6 papers, and so instead of having really large ones, I decided to go ahead and cut 3 smaller ones. So each color has 3 small shapes. I'm going to call them shapes. They're not really circles. They're not really squares. So shapes is what we're going with. And then I didn't want to do this black and white paper. I thought it might be too much to go ahead and cut this one up as well. So I kind of put it off to the side until I decided to do this little border. But I started off with those shapes and then sort of just moved them around the page until I felt like they looked right and that they were kind of peeking out from behind the photo in a way where I kind of liked how much of the patterns you could see, and I wasn't covering up too much of the background. So you can definitely see the stencil pattern there. And yeah, that was kind of quick and easy. Not a lot of fuss to it. I didn't overthink any of the cutting. It was just kind of fun to let these shapes happen organically and see what I could come up with. And then I glued them down just enough that they wouldn't move around the page too much, and then wrapped my embroidery floss around each one. So every one of the shapes got its matching color of embroidery floss wrapped around it in some way. So some of them there's a little bit more, some a little bit less. I didn't want them all to look exactly matching. And those will be kind of the basis for where my little clusters of embellishments will go. So where Stephanie kind of just embellished all around her photo and around each of the shapes that she cut out, I'm just going to stick to where I put the embroidery floss because I didn't want it to start getting too busy. Obviously, there's a lot of color in the background, and then with all these shapes and lines, there's a lot going on. And there's a lot going on in my picture because there's all these beautiful glass shapes, and they're round and they're long and they're stringy. And so there's sort of a randomness to it in a sense. And I feel like the way that I cut my shapes and put them in the background kind of reflects the randomness that you see in the picture. So I really liked how that worked out. I think it kind of matches the feeling of the photo. And then yeah, that's kind of where I went. Once I put the embroidery floss down, I basically just went through all of my stickers and the enamel dots and everything and just created really little clusters of color on color. Nothing too bold. I didn't want anything that was going to stand out too much because it is a busy background and it is a busy picture. So I just added a few little star stickers and then some enamel dots. I did also put the title into my page kit. That's from one of those sticker sheets that I've just been working on for like a year and a half, trying to get all of the words used up. And I thought this was a good opportunity for me to use up the on the list phrase, which was already sort of put together on the thicker sheet because obviously this was on our travel list. It was a place we wanted to go. So I thought on the list worked really good. So I just popped each of the words into one of the pink little clusters I felt like the pink really gave the black the opportunity to stand out really well. And then with that black and white paper, it was, to me, it felt like the center picture, because it's so dark, which is intentional. You wanted it to be dark. All of the background in this exhibit is dark so that you can really see the colors stand out, and there's a really big contrast. So that makes sense. But the picture is just so dark and so heavy right in the center of the layout. So I went ahead and created a border. You guys know how much I love my borders. I could have done a sketchy border or something like that, but I thought this black and white striped paper is going to give me a really good contrast and a nice border to kind of frame my picture and then balance some of the darkness from the center out to the outside. And I think it worked out really, really well. So inside the layout, there's that kind of bold black center, and then just a few little pops of black, and mostly white in the background. And then I've got my nice frame around it, kind of holding everything in. So I really love the way that turned out. And then of course I finished it with a bunch of sequins. And that's my layout. It was so quick to come together, and I really, really love it. And it was so much fun. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow with layout number 3. Please go check out the links for everybody below. And until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.
Bye. Thanks to me. She button. Tell my channel.